Hi, welcome to our channel True Up. The headline of an item titled NASA Leader Raised the Alarm. The Chinese Intend to Colonize the Moon appeared in the German publication Picture Pack on July 2. Bill Nelson, the administrator of NASA, warned that the new space here comes the competition this time with China, which was the article's major argument. Nelson also criticized China Aerospace in a variety of ways. By claiming that China's space program is a military one and that its technology was taken, he brutally disparaged China. He said that despite China's space program being exploited for military goals like constructing the space station, the United States would make another lunar landing by 2025. As the head of NASA, we are compelled to inquire, aerospace industry? Why is this language being used? How will the US-China space race develop in the future? The aerospace industry in China has grown to be the envy of the United States, which has been forced to compete with it to secure resources and strengthen its own position. One of the main reasons NASA visited Europe was for this. Before shifting their attention to the United States, everyone should pay particular heed to some of the information supplied by NASA on China. Then everything will make sense. He made fun of China for living on the moon, which might signify one of three things. To begin with, China can land on the moon. If it weren't for China's next lunar landing, he wouldn't be in such a hurry. He must say that China is bragging because that is how Americans do. When will China step foot on the moon for good? Chinese aerospace experts predict that China will complete a manned lunar landing in or around 2030, having achieved its goal of returning to Earth. In fact, some experts in 2013 anticipated that China would complete manned lunar landings around 2025, but afterwards, other experts said that it should happen in 2030 and that my country had already started technical moon landing research in 2013. This proves that China might actually land on the moon, and it won't be ruled out until 2030 at the earliest. The second is the potential for China to establish a lunar outpost. Will China build a base on the moon? Yes, it is the answer. Instead of setting up a base on the moon by itself, China really went there to do it with Russia. On March 9, 2021, China and Russia signed the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in the Construction of International Lunar Scientific Research Stations. According to the plan, the lunar base that China and Russia are developing is being promoted in accordance with the traditional Chinese three-step strategy and the three principles of collaborative consultation, cooperative building, and sharing. It should need 15 years. The base will be built and put into operation in 2035. The US is truly strained for time, according to the third. Why does America move so quickly? The fundamental reason is that, although taking the lead in landing on the moon, the United States achieved so only as a result of a century-long weapons race. Despite investing tens of billions of dollars in it, the United States did not immediately benefit economically from it. The United States' goal was accomplished after it was clear that it had triumphed in the moon landing. Later, once the Soviet Union was shown to be unable to send astronauts to the moon, the United States gave up and carried on with moon exploration. However, when the United States discovered that China had intended to visit the moon and was getting ready to develop a base there, he was enraged and worried. The American economic development paradigm, however, won't be able to endure if China shows it can land on the moon but the United States cannot owing to American hegemony. This does not imply that China is jealous of the United States or that it has figured out how to harness the lunar riches. One of the interests is the domination of technology. Imagine how the United States will function in the future when China and Russia are the only nations to have colonized the moon and the United States no longer controls the International Space Station. Not to mention that not even his friends would have faith in him anymore. As a result, the United States is undoubtedly worried, and the NASA director's disparaging remarks about China are also the product of his overzealous excitement. Because if the United States genuinely loses its position as the world's technological leader, NASA won't be able to obtain as much financing. In reality, he is smearing and bashing China Aerospace in order to raise money. He has two options for how he might solicit people for money. The US Congress is one of them. After learning about China's lunar program many years ago, NASA had planned to visit the moon again in 2024, but it is unlikely that this will be possible under the current conditions. Why is America not coming back? The reason is also quite obvious. The amount of research and development required to go back to the moon is more expensive than the United States can afford. NASA said in November of last year that the manned lunar landing will be delayed by 1 year, to 2025, due to a lack of funding, even though this is the earliest conceivable date and it might not happen until as late as 2028. The current problem is that 2025, let alone 2028, will be difficult to achieve, and the fundamental reason for this is still money. Bill Nelson claims that the Chinese space program is rapidly expanding and that the US must significantly increase its budget to stay up with the competition and ensure a manned lunar landing. Over the next 6 years, the budget will need to be boosted by at least $5.7 billion in order to meet demand. This statement also demonstrates that the so-called return to the moon in 2025 is a brag and that the 6-year budget term begins in exactly 2028. The NASA administrator projects a rise in lunar return of $5.7 billion over the following 6 years as a result. In other words, his trip to the moon is nothing more than a pipe dream because he hasn't yet obtained the $6.7 billion budget. The alternative course of action is the European Union. The NASA director complained to German media for what reason? One of the primary drivers is the hope that the EU countries, led by Germany, will financially assist American attempts to go back to the moon. In order to facilitate cooperative research and development, it is to permit EU countries to bear the cost of everyone traveling to the moon. He naturally flew to Germany to complain about a lack of funds, which also serves as evidence that American support for research and development activities is actually not as comfortable or sufficient as in the past. NASA plans to launch new projects as a result of China's numerous rival programs, many of which are being developed by China, and the United States' declining position. As an illustration, China's lunar exploration program is on track and will result in a lunar landing in 2030, leaving the United States to perform a second lunar landing. As another example, the Chinese space station will be built while the US-led International Space Station may soon be replaced. The United States is not aware of any comparable plans, but China is also preparing to construct lunar colonies. Such plans are unknown to the United States, but China is building multiple space facilities the size of football fields. In actuality, the rising independence of China is what is making the United States anxious and worried right now. In an effort to halt China's space expansion, the U.S. Congress passed the so-called Wolf Clause in 2011, which prevents the U.S. from working in any capacity with China. Also featured is travel to NASA in the United States. In actuality, China will unavoidably surpass the US in the aircraft industry. There are two main arguments in favor of this judgment. First off, young professionals in their 30s and 40s dominate China's aerospace sector. Americans over the age of 50 or 60 are significantly different from a young squad like this one. It is clear who will be successful in the future. Second, compared to the United States, which has a far lower input-output efficiency, China utilizes resources at an exceedingly high rate. Although the United States has a sizable space budget, its space program is not as developed as China's, which is why the United States is worried about China's expansion into space. After private capital has been spent, one of the things that contributes to the US's low input-output line efficiency is brain drain. Spaceflight, it stands in stark contrast to China's national system and makes it more difficult for NASA to finish key crucial projects more swiftly. The United States is a nation that is collapsing into a quagmire, and I must state that the hole in the country is too big. Thanks for watching our video. We would appreciate it if you subscribed our channel and gave us a thumb. See you.